Hello, very good evening to all of you. Today we are going to discuss an academic task one. And here we do have the discussion of a line graph. And this is a line graph which shows the number of students from the US, the UK, and Australia who studied in universities in other countries from 2002 to 2007. So this is a movement chart. And here the information is from 2002 and this is progressing to 2007. We do have in x-axis, or no, we do have in vertical axis the number of students from these countries who went abroad to study in the foreign universities. And we do have here in the horizontal axis is the years, which is progressing from 2002 to 2007. And we do have three lines here. One represents the US, another represents the UK, another represents Australia. So we do have all the data given here. And what we can see is a change. So we have changes here in case of the US. We have changes here in case of the UK, and we don't have a change in case of Australia. So what we have here is a movement chart. In a movement chart, we are supposed to use vocabulary, which we usually go with change vocabulary, that is increased or decreased. So we can say decreased or increased or fluctuated, we can say. And the way which they or one, we can say it was constant too. We have four things here. One is increased. Here we can see an increasing figure. Decreased, here we can see a decreasing figure. Here we can see a constant, say we don't have any change here in this matter. And here we can see a fluctuator. As a whole, you can see that is fluctuation in case of the number of students from the US who went abroad. Okay, now we have three different trends here in from three different line graphs. We can say three different trends. One was fluctuating. See, it was fluctuating. It was almost declining. There was no change here. So this is what we can say. If I can say, if I say increased, I can say the manner which it increased. It increased gradually. It increased notably. It increased dramatically. It increased tremendously. It increased abruptly. It increased spontaneously. It increased significantly. So I can say it increased minimally. Similarly, I can say increase marginally. So I can use different types of vocabulary in addition to this increased. So this represents the way which it increased. And this is very, very crucial in a line graph. When we represent a line graph, this is something very crucial here. And if I am using decreased, so I can say decreased dramatically. I can say decreased drastically. I can say decreased abruptly, minimally, merely. I can say a lot of vocabulary. This is something very crucial, I would say. And what we have to say here in this particular line graph, we don't have a complex line graph here. We do have a very simple line graph here. And what we can see that we have to say the data which are very crucial here. So we have to say this 10,000, we have to say this 30,000, we have to see this 50,000, we have to see this particular point, we have to show the trend which is going down, and we have to show the trend which is moving without any change. You have to show the trend which is moving upwards back. So all this important data should be coordinated. It should be organized in the paragraphs which you are going to write in this graph. So let's see how we can frame this graph. what is there in the introduction of this particular graph is what is the picture and what is it about. What the picture is a bar graph. No, it's a line graph. What is said here is line graph. Line graph is said already there, it is said. And what is shown in this line graph, information in the number of overseas students from the USA, the UK, and Australia. And when it happened from 2002 to 2007. And this is what this information is. We have a data from 2002 to 2007. And it was, now it is depicted in a line graph. We have the data from the US, we have the data from the USA, UK, and Australia over the period. And how the number of students are marked in the line graph. So this is what we can see. So it's very clearly said there. At a glance, the trends were very different in all the three countries during the given period. In all the three countries, we have very different trends. You have a fluctuating trend here, we have a declining trend here, and we have no change. It was a stationary trend there. As per, this is the overview. As per the chart, in 2002, the USA stood first in case of the number of overseas students. You can see that it stood first. The number almost hit around 50,000. It didn't hit 50,000, almost hit 50,000. So you can see the phrase which we used, almost hit around 50,000. Which was 20,000 more than the students from the UK who opted a study abroad program. So we have made a comparison, 50,000 minus 30,000, that's 20,000. So we have made a comparison, and we have not said the data of Australia because we have to say that it's separate. We have said at last. So we are not going to repeat it. So we have said at large, the volume of overseas student visas issued from Australia remained 10,000 all through the period. So all through the period, there was no change. So what has changed? And this is said in the middle paragraph, the explanatory paragraph. The first major change occurred is in case of the number of students from the USA who opted for a foreign university to study. So it occurred in case of the number of students from the USA who opted a foreign university to study. It began to decline gradually from the year 2002. And in just 2 years, it touched an all-time low of nearly 40,000. You can say it started declining from 2002 and it went down. And it was an all-time low for the US. The number of students who opted a foreign university stood at the lowest in 2004, and it was around 46,000. However, the trend reversed after the year. So I can say after and touched the mark of 50,000 by 2006, 2007. So it reached around 2006, 2007. Now the second major change in the aforementioned figures was noted in case of the UK. The second major change occurred. So I can avoid that in the aforementioned figures. The second major change was noted in case of the UK shortly after 2003, when the students' numbers started falling. So you can say from 2003, the students' number from the UK started falling, those who opted the foreign universities. The trend continued unchanged till the end of the period. So it started falling. It started falling and falling. The trend continued unchanged. And by 2007, it settled at approximately 22,000. So this is how we have. So it settled at approximately 22,000. And the exception case is there said in at the last paragraph. It's not actually a paragraph. The data which is separated from the other two data, the other two graph, the other two line, we do have a change. Here I don't have a change. Then the volume of overseas student visas issued from Australia remained at 10,000 all through the period. So this is what the explanation for this particular chart is. Thank you. Thank you.